Hello and welcome to Empires of Today. I'm your host, Rafael Riaza. I've got our 4 topics stacked up that we'll be going over for 90 seconds or less each, starting with what is going on with the deal with Iran. After that, the UK does seem to have a new prime minister. Followed by that, we have a push to the right in Latin America, while New York City and the Democratic Party in general seems to be pushing pretty far to the left. Let's go ahead and start the clock on Iran. So it does appear that Schrodinger's Strait is actually somewhat open. They are receiving about a third of the traffic going through the strait that was done before the war actually began. So some ships are going through. As of now, no tolls are being charged, but there is quite a bit of conflict in terms of what is coming out from the Trump administration and what is coming out from the Iranian government as it stands. Essentially, the IAEA, which is the agency which conducts the nuclear inspections, according to Trump, Iranians have agreed to allowing them in forever, literally until infinity, while the Iranians are claiming that they haven't agreed to that whatsoever. In addition, as far as the Strait is concerned, the Iranians are claiming that they are working with Oman to figure out a way to charge tolls and fees to cross the strait, while Marco Rubio came out stating that, in fact, the strait is considered international waters, so there are to be no tolls being charged. As of now, I'm going to stick to my original thought that this really is a way to stall out this situation, potentially leading to a better resolution. Let's see what we get after the midterms. In the UK, the prime minister has essentially been chosen. So Andy Burnham, who was the former mayor of Manchester, he won a seat in parliament, has become the uncontested leader of the Labour Party. Now, it technically is still open for some sort of nominee, I believe right until July 9th. But from the looks of it, he is going to be the 7th prime minister that the UK has had in less than 10 years. So how did the UK even get here? Fact is that they've been dealing with a lot of instability associated with their welfare state, the fact that they're not being able to really fund it, the fact that they are letting in a ton of immigrants who are seemingly not assimilating with English culture, obviously with the UK norms, and of course with, just the democratic culture that has existed in the UK. Really, really sad to say it, but it does look like, when you look at what the British Empire was to what the UK is now, I mean, this is a serious case study for historians that will likely be researched for many, many years. And, I just hope that the UK can find some sort of stability, at least maintain a prime minister for over 4 years. We can definitely start with that. In Latin America, there is a significant push to the right. So Alvarado de la Espriella, he was the right-wing candidate for the election. He beat out who was actually supposed to win, the candidate endorsed by former President Gustavo Petrov, who had been in power for about 4 years. Now, under the Petrov government, the factions, so the guerrilla factions, as well as a lot of the narco groups, have actually proliferated. Their power has been extended, and Colombia has slowly returned to these kind of faction-based territory divisions where, there's various narco traffickers operating out of various areas who are now essentially maintaining control, similar to how Pablo Escobar had control over Medellin. Now, now president-elect is stating that he is going to follow Bukele's model and start building prisons, obviously, and start really tamping down on the situation with the narco traffickers, with the criminals, and really extending freedom and democracy. I mean, the left wing media really pushing that this is a ultra far right wing candidate. I mean, that really couldn't be further from the truth. The man, he was a lawyer in Miami. He went down to Colombia, has been there for a while, and obviously won the election, got into politics down there. And he really just wants to see the country return to some sort of stability and, actually have a progressing democracy. This is similar with Fujimori, who just won in Peru. And, with Peru having their election certified, and, of course, with Colombia having this right wing candidate winning the election, that will make 7 total countries in Latin America, including Bolivia, Ecuador, Chile, a couple others that have actually moved towards the right. Even though these elections have been won by really razor thin margins, it does look like people are kind of fed up with the, socialist rhetoric, with the pushing of, attempted these welfare states that are simply not working. And people want to return to democracy and free markets and free will. I mean, being able to really progress yourself, as opposed to being reliant on the government. I mean, that's what seems to be happening. Hopefully, some of this spills over to Venezuela. That'd be wonderful. And it would be wonderful to see, that these nations really become prosperous and democratic and can sustain themselves that way for a very long time. Now, the opposite is happening in New York City, and the Democratic Party in general. So Zoran Mamdani's candidates that he had endorsed, the 3 of them actually won their primary elections, despite each of them only having about $200,000 in funding. This is pretty significant because there was an opposing super PAC, really that funded by the Democratic Party, with over $2 million that was supposed to help the candidates opposing these Democratic Socialists of America. And that really didn't seem to do anything. The push to the far left, I mean, really is significant. These candidates have openly spoken against America, saying that we need to essentially overturn the government, rewrite the Constitution, do such thing as potentially abolishing ICE and doing things like, just stating openly Marxist rhetoric, like wanting to seize the means of production. I mean, at a certain point, the Democratic Party does have to realize that they're pretty much being cannibalized by the Democratic Socialists of America. And as long as the leaders, such as Hakeem Jeffries, even Obama, coming out and saying, oh, well, we'll just agree to disagree. We're just going to work together and we're still the same Democratic Party as always. I mean, the writing's on the wall. The fact is that these candidates, that they are not of the Democratic Party. They are openly essentially forming a new party, which is completely aligned with socialism and creating essentially a Marxist state. And at a certain point, it's something that really needs to be paid attention to, because we might just see an AOC candidacy in 2028. That's all I've got for today. Please like and subscribe. Join us again in the next couple days, and I will see you next time.